2026 is the 20th anniversary for Fairy Tail, and we have been getting some really big news for Fairy Tail. This week alone, we not only got some news of a art exhibition for Fairy Tail, a new big character popularity poll, which chances are top 3 is definitely going to contain Lucy and especially Juvia with recent events in the manga. In regards to 100 Years Quest, Mashima was also touring a bunch of different cities for signings and meet and greets and stuff like that for the 20th anniversary, and so much more is still yet to be released for the 20th anniversary. Hopefully we're getting a movie and maybe a Fairy Tail remake anime for all we know. But probably the biggest piece of news we have gotten so far is the fact that Fairy Tail, plain old Fairy Tail, from the looks of it, is returning to Weekly Shonen Magazine as a limited short form weekly manga. You heard that right, Fairy Tail is going back to Weekly Shonen Magazine again for a brand new weekly run, both drawn and written by Hiro Mashima himself. Now that is definitely a big thing because Mashima at this point, he's only working on 2 series alone. He's writing for 100 Years Quest, potentially also doing storyboarding, while one of his former assistants is doing all the actual artwork, and he's writing and drawing for Dead Rock right now, which I'm covering on the channel, both of those manga, if you want to check those out in full. But Fairy Tail itself coming back to a weekly format is definitely interesting, getting many fans excited and a little bit confused as to what this could potentially mean for not just Fairy Tail, but also 100 Years Quest and what could happen going forward. So we're going to jump into that right now. Before all that, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, shows you guys know the content I make here on the channel, and shows you want to see more. And depending on what the last pieces of news we get for Fairy Tail are, I will probably make videos on them if it's enough to make an actual full video on. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into things. Also, before we get into the actual Fairy Tail weekly news, something that I didn't really see until I just started recording this, is that we also have a special 20th anniversary manga music video. Literally, animated versions of the manga through Lucy's POV of her writing her book throughout the entirety of the story of Fairy Tail, all to the very first opening of Fairy Tail, Snow Fairy. And it just brought a whole bunch of nostalgia back to see just the original art style for Fairy Tail up until the end of its run, with all these iconic, silly, and stupid moments, with also just incredibly serious and heartbreaking and heartwarming. It even brought Hiro Mashima to cry listening and watching to that video because of the theme song being played through his art, which is honestly fantastic. And the symbolism of this just being closed out with Lucy closing her own novel makes a lot of sense. The entire story throughout Fairy Tail has been narrated by Lucy, and so it is at the end of the series she gets an award for her novel, and her novel is based off of her own life. So it's a really nice attention to detail, and it's honestly kind of heartwarming. But now on to the actual news that this video is for. Fairy Tail's coming back weekly. What does that mean? Well, let me just get one thing out of the way that I'm pretty confident is not the case. 100 Years Quest is not becoming weekly. If it was, it would have been specified that 100 Years Quest would be transferred to Weekly Shonen Magazine, and then it would become weekly. That, and also they said that Fairy Tail is coming back for a limited short weekly run. So that in and of itself does kind of confirm that 100 Years Quest is still going to be bi-weekly, written by Mashima and drawn by Ueda, so that's definitely not going to change. But what we are considering is what kind of story this is going to be. Now this is just going to be most definitely a celebratory mini arc for all we know. How long it could be is anybody's guess. It could be about 10 chapters, could be 20. My initial guess is based off of how Jujutsu Kaisen sequel, Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, had about 25 chapters for its run. Probably could have done with maybe 3 to 5 more and then end off at an even 30, but that's besides the point. I wouldn't be surprised if Mashima goes for a nice 6-month run for a weekly Fairy Tail, and knowing Mashima, he would probably go straight with no breaks, knowing the guy at this point, but it could obviously be shorter. Now, Mashima has stated that this is going to be focusing on an unexpected character, seemingly, with Natsu and the gang taking part in the adventure. So, for him to say that, it's very possible that it could just be some character we don't see a lot of or doesn't get the spotlight as much in mainline Fairy Tail and even 100 Years Quest, having a bit more of a focus. And this might be a bit more of a fun adventure with some actual action thrown in there that could be canon to the story. When would this take place? There's only really one period of time for this not to affect the overall story of 100 Years Quest. And that is the 1 year time jump, the 1 year gap between the end of Alvarez, which was the defeat of Agnologia, up until the Lucy novel award party. That whole one singular year has not been accounted for at all or talked about. In that year, the characters have gotten stronger, they've trained. Erza, I believe that is when Erza learned 100% how to use Heavenly Body magic as well. There's a lot to go forward to, and heck, we can even see the creation of the Dragon Slayer seals that Wendy and Erza have used and enchanted themselves and others with. That would honestly be a really nice touch to see. But yeah, that's really the only gap in time where we can have this story without it altering the story of 100 Years Quest, because at this point in 100 Years Quest, it seems like we are in the end game right now. What seems like the final group of antagonists and the final villain that we're facing in 100 Years Quest, and we're going towards the ending so far. No clear confirmation that this is in fact the finale of 100 Years Quest, but this will definitely go on for at least another year based on how the manga is paced and the fact that it's bi-weekly. So I give the series a whole other year before we end up getting this concluded. So this new Fairy Tail Weekly manga is definitely going to be a inconsequential story that is just going to be some nice fun for the fans, and for Mashima to truly go all in with Fairy Tail art and story once again, and to go back into the magazine that he recently just left because Eden Zero ended a little over a year ago. Actually, it's going to be almost 2 years in the summer, around July, so that's also a crazy thing to think about. But 100 Years Quest is safe. It's not going to be altered anyway, I hope, because if this was taking place after 100 Years Quest, it would just completely destroy the story, ruining any type of stakes or intrigue, because we know everybody would come out okay, nothing ends up changing, no new things are in the story at that point, and thus, what need would there be to read the manga at this point? So that is a thing. And I highly doubt that that is not going to be the case. But this being a original story gives us a lot of hope for some wacky shenanigans with the main crew, and perhaps some new characters being introduced here, which, if Mashima does want to do something fun with it, could introduce these new characters in this story, and even concepts in this mini-story. And if he wants, he can implement it into 100 Years Quest towards the end, so it doesn't fully come out of nowhere. That because it's stuff that already happened in the story by consequently being in this other weekly manga, for all we know. It's a fun idea, but it would also be kind of frustrating for people that end up not reading the weekly serialization of Fairy Tail once more. Now, obviously, even though this is going to be a short series, knowing Mashima, he probably will extend it longer. Because remember, Dead Rock was supposed to be a short manga, probably around 5 volumes long. Well, we are over 30 chapters, and that is effectively us going into our 7th and 8th volume right now. So, and the story doesn't show any signs of reaching a climax anytime soon. So, all we know, Mashima could just end up fully expanding the story into something else. Maybe he ends it off with this one arc, takes a break, and then when 100 Years Quest ends, probably sometime after this weekly serialization, he comes back with a new Fairy Tail story, maybe a Next Generation type thing, maybe following other characters, who knows, maybe even another prequel series for Fairy Tail in a weekly shonen magazine. That could be something as well. Or maybe he'll launch a bunch of spin-offs for Fairy Tail focusing on other characters, maybe not in weekly shonen magazine. Those could be possibilities post this whole thing. Or you could just turn Fairy Tail into an anthology type series, focusing on different characters from the main and side cast to develop them more with their own mini arcs and stuff like that. I would actually kind of like that a lot, because a lot of Fairy Tail characters, while they are well done, some of them could definitely use a lot more screen time and moments to shine. But at the end of the day, this is just Mashima doing a celebratory series for the main manga series that he created, that basically brought him up into stardom and to basically make his dream of being a mangaka his full-time job and literally have fun with whatever the hell he ends up doing. With multiple series that are relatively successful, and it is just crazy to think about it. That, and also Weekly Shonen Magazine and Kodansha are just going to not let Mashima rest when it comes to Fairy Tail content, because that franchise still makes money. Even though he makes new stuff, Fairy Tail itself still makes a shit ton of money. So, yeah, Fairy Tail is probably never going to end. It's probably going to be a forever franchise, I guess. I guess goes into the philosophy of Fairy Tail being a never-ending adventure. But even then, that's a strong possibility. Though I do hope that when this Fairy Tail weekly manga for the 20th anniversary does conclude, we get the announcement that Mashima's next weekly manga comes out, so that he can move on to something new, and he'll eventually finish off with 100 Years Quest, and then Dead Rock will slowly reach its conclusion while he has another weekly manga that will have his undivided attention for the time being. You know, outside of playing video games and completing Final Fantasy 15 and other stuff like that, and working on other shit that he does every single time. And maybe he'll end up getting that anime that he wanted to write off the ground. Yes, he wanted to do that a few years back, writing a couple of scripts and storylines that he wanted to get animated. But anyway, I can't wait for this. It comes out August 5th, and you bet your ass I'm going to be covering it once it comes out. Which means for the time being, you'll get at max 2 Fairy Tail videos a week, 100 Years Quest, whatever miscellaneous videos I do on break weeks for 100 Years Quest, and the weekly chapters of the Fairy Tail relaunch for the 20th anniversary, which will probably go till the end of the year for all we know. It's an exciting time to be a Fairy Tail fan. We still have other news to look forward to. Maybe a new game, maybe an anime movie that we desperately need. It's been a decade, I believe, since Dragon Cry came out. Or maybe the announcement for the 100 Years Quest anime will come out. Honestly, what would be really cool is if not only does 100 Years Quest come out on the 7th of July, same day that it came out in Season 1, with 7/7 being the main thing, but have it come out in 2027, literally triple sevens, essentially. I mean, ignore the 2, but yeah, triple sevens, that'd be a pretty fun time. I mean, that's what they were waiting for to release Season 2. That'd be kind of fun to think about. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, what you think of the news of Fairy Tail coming back to Weekly Shonen Magazine for a short weekly story that is probably just going to be a hell of a lot of fun for us to read on a weekly basis. Let me know what you think, and what you think for the future announcements for Fairy Tail's 20th anniversary. What do you look forward to and hope will end up being announced within the next coming weeks or months? Do you think Fairy Tail will actually get a remake like a lot of fans want? I do kind of want a remake for Fairy Tail to fully adapt the manga, and have Mashima fully write the anime canon arcs that he had placed into the anime canon, but to be fully fleshed arcs that he wrote, and fix the pacing issues for all that and the animation. But that's all I gotta say for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Get excited for the 20th anniversary of Fairy Tail. There's still more to come. With all that said and done, hope you all have an awesome day.